Welcome to the Way to Go podcast. I'm Bill McMinn along with Jeri, and we are talking about contentment today. And I used to hear the term rat race a lot, and you know, it's like being on a hamster wheel, which I know is different than rat race, and then hamsters running on a wheel, not going anywhere. But sometimes maybe that's the way that it felt. I guess I always felt the rat race was keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah, racing to the goal.
Right.
Whatever, in the little maze. Yeah.
Right. So you're going to run and work hard so you can build the addition on or buy that car or do this thing where everything was a race about maybe accumulation or bigger and better. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It could be just getting the stuff done, trying to accomplish everything you think you need to in life.
I would say today probably too, some of that would be sports. I know a lot of parents are really wrapped up in their kids. You know, I would include rat race. The sports, I don't think were as intense when we were growing up as what they are today.
Never weekend stuff or, you know what I mean? Like this travel ball.
Yeah.
That didn't exist.
Yeah, I don't know. No, there was no travel ball or anything. So I think that's part of the rat race too. But one of the things that I want to talk about in contentment is to realize, but you have what you have to be happy. Happiness is not based on having one more thing. Well, if I have this bigger expanded patio and a fire pit, then I'll be happy. Or if I build this addition on, or if I get a nicer car and I have heated seats in the back of the car and the things that we spoiled people sometimes think about, that's not really it. It's not really going to make you happy. I've told people before, I don't think it's always true. I think it's often true. If you're not happy single, you probably won't be happy married.
True.
If you're not happy married, you're probably not going to be happy single. I think if you're not happy, you're just not happy. Because if you can't be happy with the blessings that you have, now I think you'd be happier, because I've told my friend there's happy, happier, and happiest. So we'd be out fishing. If I'm fishing, I'm happy. If I catch something, I'm happier.
Right.
And if I catch the biggest, I'm the happiest. So, I get it that sometimes there are situations in life that I'm a lot happier about. Like I have people in my life that make me happier, but I wouldn't say that I have to have anything more to be happy. We have what we need.
Right. I think that we just need to find contentment and happiness in everything that we're in, whatever situation you're in, whatever is around you, whatever you have. More is not going to make you happier.
Right. Well, it says in Ecclesiastes, and it says, this is verses 4-8. This is chapter 5. It says, "And I saw that all toil and all achievement spring from one person's envy of another. This too is meaningless, chasing after the wind." And I'll stop there for a second because I don't want to read too many verses and then we glaze over. But a lot of it came out of envy. So he's saying that a lot of that lack of contentment is you're envying people. And to me, that's when you're keeping up with the Joneses. So if your buddy has a certain bike, you just have to have that bike. If your buddy has this kind of, for us, we're into kayaking. Maybe I don't really need another kayak, but okay.
Doesn't mean you won't buy one.
Well, it doesn't mean I won't buy one. Like my one friend told me, it's not hoarding when it's kayaks. So they saw that. They thought it was so funny because I have like 4 of them. But yeah, I'm not saying I wouldn't buy another kayak, but I'm happy with the one that I have.
Right.
So if I like my color fine, and somebody comes out with a spiffier color, I'm not, I have to have that. What I'm saying? Because I'm just going to go out and play in my kayak.
Right. But there is so much of that out there where it's like somebody else has this cool vehicle. Well, I need that cool vehicle. But the thing is, like, ultimately, I know, like, we've gotten new cars in the past, and of course, I run them till they're dead. But, when you first get it, it's like, oh, I got a new car. It's so exciting. But it's only like, a matter of days or weeks that it's just a car to get you somewhere. It really doesn't mean anything. So I like my old car.
I know, and I like it when you get a new one. But sometimes I do see the cool way our buddies are spiffing up their vehicles, and I'm like, man, that's pretty sweet. Wouldn't mind doing that to a vehicle myself. It's pretty cool. I do like it. I like cars. I like vehicles and all that kind of. And part of it comes in me nature. My dad was in the car business for years. Yeah. My dad would have the side pipes and the mag tires, and he would always really
spiff it up.
Oh, he would spiff up his vehicles. Yeah, he really did. But then verse 5 says, "Fools fold their hands and ruin themselves." So he's not saying, hey, don't worry about keeping up with the Joneses. He's also not saying be lazy.
Right.
He said, because fools are going to ruin themselves by doing nothing. Better one handful with tranquility than 2 handfuls with toil and chasing after the wind. And that's the one verse that really speaks to me, and one of the verses I was really after to talk about. It's better to have 1 handful and be tranquil and at peace than 2 handfuls and it's a constant chasing after the wind, just so you can have more. If you have more, but you can't enjoy more, but the person who has less enjoys the less they have more than you do, the more you have. if that makes sense.
Yeah, what good is it?
What good is it?
Right.
Correct?
Yes.
So I look at it and say, well, yeah, I mean, you should enjoy what you have without always striving, because if you're not, one of the reasons, by the way, I've seen beautiful houses up by the lake that were for sale. Killer. I mean, killer. They were for sale, affordable. We could have been right up by Lake Erie at one spot. And I remember looking at that and thinking, I am not going to spend the rest of my life fixing a house. No. Because that's what it would take. It would take every minute, every spare minute you had, you'd be fixing a house. So you could be in all you'd be doing really would be fixing it for the next person who's going to own it.
Right.
Because you would never have any time to enjoy it. And so we did it once. I mean, we went through a house renovation, right, tore it apart, put it back together. And that was 1 year of my life gone. And I said, I will never do that again.
I agree with that.
And I agree with that. Well, there's plenty of yard work. So once we got the house fixed, I'm going to plant gardens, and Billy Boy is always doing something, right? Mm-hmm. I was always chasing something down. Well, let's pick this, let's do that. Now that's kind of settled down. Mm-hmm. We just kind of maintain what we have, but yeah, I mean, it's better to be tranquil. It's better to be able to enjoy it than to have more. Because I look at my life, and I'm like, okay, I don't have the biggest house, right? It's not, but I'm happy with what I have. Right. I run down the trail. I run down that stupid, simple little greenway trail. I shouldn't call it stupid because it is great. I love it. Just an ordinary trail. I run down. I love it. I don't need complexity. Right. It's just a trail in the woods. I like to run on it. I enjoy it. I'm out there multiple times a week. Run.
Right.
Most times I'm like the only guy out there, and I like that too. That's okay. But I love it. It's so simple.
Yeah. The one thing I think, too, is when people are constantly chasing after the bigger and the better, if that is what drives you, then you'll never find contentment, because there's always going to be something bigger and better.
Right.
And as soon as you get that new vehicle, the other person who you're keeping up with is getting something new. It's just a constant, it's endless, and it doesn't bring you happiness ultimately, because you don't find that peace or contentment because you're always chasing.
Right. Let me ask you a question. In 2020, were you happy?
Yeah, it was a fun year.
Yeah, I was super happy.
Yeah, we did a lot of fun stuff and got out a lot.
I just try to enjoy what's around me. And, even last Sunday, I look at all the people in church, and a lot of people I didn't know, which is great too, because we have a lot of visitors. Like, hey, this is church, and whoever's listening online, that's your church, and it's people here, and I'm happy with that. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like I have to have 10,000 other things. I'm like, I'm happy with my life. I'm happy with my friends. I'm happy with my family. I'm just happy. Yeah. So what more could you want? Like, why would I want to go and do 10,000 other things? I like it. Now, I will challenge myself with some things. Like, I guess you and I and others have some things on the horizon that we want to work on. But, just to challenge ourselves and learn new things and be fun. And that's great too. But it's going to be fun.
Yeah. And I think you do always want to make sure that you're bettering yourself, you're improving, you're not being lazy or sitting on your laurels doing nothing. But at the same point, there has to be contentment along the way, and not just that constant discontentment and unhappiness because you think you're missing out on something, or because you feel like, well, they have this, I need that.
Right. Yeah. No, I would agree. There was one thing he said too. He said, again, something meaningless under the sun. There was a man all alone. He had neither son nor brother. There was no end to his toil, yet his eyes were not content with his wealth. For whom am I toiling, he asked, and why am I depriving myself of enjoyment? This too is meaningless, a miserable business. And so he's looking at his life. He was so busy, he's like Scrooge. Mm-hmm. I mean, he never bothered to have a family. He never bothered to get married because he's so busy making money and having more. And he looks back, what was this for? Mm-hmm. It was like the rich man who, got a bumper crop. I'm building bigger barns. I'm building bigger this and that. I'm going to sit down now and I'm going to eat, drink, and be merry. And he died that day. Right. And God says, what a fool. Mm-hmm. Because he was never really rich towards people. He just wanted to accumulate things. He sits down finally to say, well, I don't have to hustle anymore. And he dies. Well, why weren't you enjoying life along the way?
Yeah. Or sharing with others.
Others, right? So you don't want to deprive. Like, I am not one, like, I want to be serious about what I do. Mm-hmm. Today I have a funeral to do. I'm going to be super serious about doing the best job that I possibly can. And when it comes Sunday morning, I'm going to be serious. I want to be serious about people connecting with God. I want to be serious about being a good example. I want to be serious about this kind of stuff and doing the job and, casting a good vision for the church and being here to help rebuild us after COVID. I want to be serious about these things, but I also want to have fun. Yeah. I like work too. Don't get me wrong. Do I like work? Do I like writing sermons? Do I like speaking? Yes, I like all of it. But I also like just goofing around too. I like to see things. I like to see countryside. I like to be on the water. I like to hike. I like those things too. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, right?
Right. So when you deprive yourself of happiness and wait for one more thing, don't be that way. So I would say the first thing, we got to look at is you just realize we have what we need to be happy and we need to be content. Paul said in Philippians 4, I'm not saying this because I am in need, for I've learned to be content whatever the circumstances. I know what it is to be in need. I know what it is to have plenty. I've learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. It doesn't matter. I've learned to be content. I can have a ton of stuff and be content. I can be in want and be content. He could be in prison and he was singing. He just was content.
Right.
I love those kind of people. They're just happy.
Yeah. You look at like children that are raised in a home that really doesn't have much of anything. They don't have a lot of expensive things, yet they're enjoying life and they're having fun with what they have.
Right.
They don't sit around worrying, well, that rich kid's got this or that. They're just having fun. And I think sometimes when we get older, we forget to just have fun in life.
Right.
Of course you have to work and everything, but yeah, you definitely want to be content with what you have, enjoy your life, enjoy the people around you.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember I had my old 67 Charger, which was old at the time we were in college. I mean, that was an old car. And other people, man, their parents were rich. They'd come driving whatever, Trans Ams and whatnot.
Yep.
They'd come to college and mommy and daddy bought them a nice car and all that. I didn't care.
We had fun.
I had fun, right? You know what I'm saying? I had fun because I grew up in the mountains. I knew where to drive my car.
Yeah.
I knew where cool places were, places to hike and things to see and whatnot. So I didn't care. And he says in all circumstances, just be content.
Yep.
In all circumstances. And sometimes this is where I've felt that people have really struggled because they're just not content, and there's a certain sadness that they carry with them every day because especially I've seen it with single people who want to be married in the worst way, and I want them to find somebody. I would love for them to have somebody. I know it with my own daughter, and just seeing the difference it made when she found her husband. You know what I mean? And they were boyfriend and girlfriend and dating, and just what a change it did. I mean, I really do think she was a kid who I really wondered about it, that I saw a huge change in their temperament. So I can't say that it would never make you happy or it would never do anything positive, in your life, because I realize it. But to see the sadness when I'm like, yeah, but okay, so you don't have anyone right now, but man, you're free. You can do whatever you want. There's plenty of people in your same situation that you could go say, hey, do you want to go together Saturday and go walk around and do this and just go have fun? I would never wait and put off having fun till something else changed.
Yes.
I mean, if my best buddies decided that they were going to take 6 months and move to a different state, I would still be doing stuff for the 6 months. I wouldn't be waiting around for anyone to come back.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I would be like, well, no, I got to keep moving.
And I think that's where it's a choice. You make the choice to focus on the good, or you make the choice to focus on the negative. And focusing on the good will bring you so much more happiness and so much more contentment, because you don't keep dwelling on what you don't have or what you wish you had.
Right.
You're just enjoying what you do have.
Yeah. And I think even with the people in your life, your spouse, you got to appreciate your spouse. You shouldn't be sitting around, if I just had that other guy's spouse.
Right.
Instead of my spouse, I'd really be so happy. It's like, be happy with your spouse.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you don't need anyone else. You know what I'm saying? You're with the person. You go with somebody else's spouse, you probably make a wreck of that whole thing anyway. So it's not going to work out the way you think. Just be happy. I think there's too many people pining away for something else. Whether it's somebody else's job, somebody else's spouse, somebody else's car, somebody else's house, somebody else's life, somebody else's fame, somebody else's how many followers they have on Facebook or Instagram or whatever else. Stop pining away for these things. Just be happy. Just be happy. Be content with your spouse. Be content with your children. and realize, like, I think I'm in a position in life, I don't feel like I need anything else. I'm happy. I'm perfectly happy and content with my life. Now, I'm always going to strive to do better. I'm going to come up with new ideas to try. I'm going to definitely be, I've already got ideas in my head of how I'm going to challenge myself going forward in 2021, especially with the camera in my hand. I'm trying to come up with some ideas of, like, I really need to challenge myself in this area for it, specifically like portrait photography, because that's not my strength. Like, I'm an abandoned landscape, architecture.
Right.
That's the kind of shooter that I am. To actually be good at people, I can do it, and I have done it. Not saying those were terrible pictures, but you know what I'm saying?
Not your favorite thing, yeah.
I don't understand it as well as I do other things. So that's something I want to press myself to understand more, how far they need to be from a building behind them. What kind of lens do you need? What? There's a lot of questions. I won't bore you guys with it because you're
I'm glazing over.
Everyone's glazing over anyway. But yeah, it's just my kind of stuff where I want to know, like there's got to be a way to figure this out to nail this photo. Like in this location right here, to crush that photo out of the park. I know there's got to be a way to do it. I will figure out how to do it.
And I think that too is where you find joy in your toil, or joy in your labor, where it's work a little bit, but you focus on what's interesting and what's good about it,
right?
And it brings, for me, I love like organizing stuff, so I do find like joy in my labor at times,
Yeah, and I like it. There's something about the artistic side of it. I just like. I don't know.
That's cool.
So I think too, so you got to be content. You have to accept your lot. In Ecclesiastes 5. And another spot, it says, "This is what I have observed to be good, that it is appropriate for a person to eat, to drink, to find satisfaction in their toilsome labor under the sun during the few days of life God has given them, for this is their lot. Moreover, when God gives someone wealth and possessions and the ability to enjoy them, to accept their lot, and to be happy in their toil, this is a gift from God. They seldom reflect on the days of their life because God keeps them occupied with gladness of heart." And I like that because that's their lot. They accept it. They find satisfaction in the toil under the sun in this short life. It's their lot. And when God gives someone even wealth and the ability to enjoy them, to accept their lot, to be happy in their toil, it's a gift from God. When you accept your lot in life, like we accept that God put us in Northeast Ohio, even though we are Easterners.
Right, and our family's all out.
All our family's all from the East. We are from a place where they had great cheesesteaks. We were a place where they had great New York style pizza. We're at a place where, like, we were used to that area.
Near the ocean.
I was from near the ocean. I was from the mountains. There's a lot of things that you give up when God calls you, and I think the biggest was our family that we left behind when we came out here. But I have found great contentment in my lot. In this world, that God put me here to direct this church, to be with these people, to be shoulder to shoulder with my fellow now Ohioans after being here over 30 years. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, I like it here. Yeah. I like the people. I like the country.
God keeps you occupied with gladness of heart.
Right, exactly. Because I have gladness of heart because of things I've been in. Now, I said before, the first scripture we read, it was from chapter 5. Maybe not. It might have been 4. It might have been 2. You look up those verses, by the way, and a handful of tranquility with is better, one handful with tranquility than 2 handfuls with toil and chasing out the wind. You will find it, what that verse is. And then this chapter 5, there's so many great chapters in Ecclesiastes. Yeah, some of the verses are so cool and awesome. I have to go hunt them down all the time because I'll was that in 2 or 3? Or was that 5 or 8? Like, what chapter was that really awesome verse in? And some of them I've been back to so many times, I'm actually getting it absolutely locked down because Ecclesiastes is just one of those books you should read. If you've never read the book of Ecclesiastes, I almost hate to admit it, but it really is one of my favorite books in the entire Bible. I love the book of Ecclesiastes because it's about life. Yeah. You got to enjoy your life. The one verse I love is just be happy and do good. How simple is that? Yeah. Be happy and do good. You know why? Because you only have one life. You can't spend it pining away. You can't spend it wishing for something else. You got to be happy for what you have.
There are so many great things that we can do out there. So many people whose lives you can impact just with the joy in your heart. Because a lot of people out there really are struggling,
Right.
and they just need that word of encouragement or someone that's positive to kind of, rub shoulders with to impact them for positive
Right.
thinking too sometimes.
I agree. I used to hate it, and I still hate it when I hear people call Ashtabula Trashtabula.
Yeah, I hate that.
I hate the negativity.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't, even when my own daughter used to rip on the area, which now she happily lives in.
Yeah.
But when she went to college, it was the worst. Never want to live in this county again. Who's back living in the county, loving it, and
Having a good
owns
time.
her own house in the county, right? She does. But I used to hate it when she would, I'm like, you never go to another state and rip on your hometown or rip on the place you came from. You never do it. You talk about what's good about it.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about how awesome it is to see Lake Erie. You talk about how we have country around us. You talk about the clean air. You talk about the trails we can go on. You talk about being able to go in your backyard and four-wheel or go in your backyard and shoot a gun. You talk about every positive thing you can about that area. You talk about how beautiful. I have hiked miles of the Ashtabula River. I'm going to tell you what, it's so beautiful down there.
Oh, yeah.
I remember years ago, I'd be hiking it thinking, most people in this county have no idea this is even here. They have never been in
there's
this
so
part.
much beauty
because
around.
it's pretty hard to get to some of the
Yeah.
parts of the river I've been on. And like, they have no idea. Like,
Well, you think
this
of
is
just
out here.
little things in life that we take for granted, going outside and looking at the stars.
Right.
I remember for Michaela's wedding, her friends came for the wedding, and one girl's from New York City. She couldn't believe it. She never sees the stars
Right.
because there's so much light in the city. They don't really see the stars in the sky. And it's
Right.
like, we don't even think about
Right.
what a blessing
Oh,
that
yeah.
is.
You give them the keys to a four-wheeler. They were thrilled.
It was
They
funny,
were having
yeah.
so much fun out there. All the boys brought guns and they were shooting in the backyard. It's the coolest thing in the world because there's a lot of advantages of being here. And by the way,
Yeah.
that's why our property values are going up, because people are starting to catch on that they need to be in Ashtabula County, and it's one of the places to be because it's a great place to live. Contentment. And that's what I found in life. And I found it through God, that if you're where God wants you to be, you're doing the things God wants you to do, you find contentment and peace and joy in all of it. And even when things change in your life and, you get some wicked curveballs, you still find happiness to say, hey, God's got it all under control. I'm going to be okay. So
Yep.
be content in the way that you live, and have a great week.